In Washington's most intimidating arena, a legendary Secretary of State aims to crush a new Congresswoman's record, only for her to fire back with a reply so powerful it shatters the entire room. Subscribe now. Don't dare miss a second. Imagine a DC studio designed not just for news, but for trial by fire. Marble floors echo every footstep, boots and heels pacing with anxiety before broadcast. Massive ring lights, so bright they blur the vision and incinerate sweat, hover over a stage raised slightly above the crowd. Banners with news logos cover the naked concrete. In the wings, producers murmur and text check mics and cameras. There's no ordinary calm. It's the tense, vibrating energy of a showdown. Every journalist present, every staffer and lobbyist in attendance knows the stakes. This isn't just another cable segment. Down the rows, a who's who of American political life. Stoic senators, whispering strategists, social media managers' fingers poised to live tweet every barb. Pollsters clutch tablets, CNN panels prepare hot takes in the green room. In the front row, veterans from both parties, their expressions unreadable, nervous, excited, threatened. Distant faces, masked in the semi-darkness, blur into a single expectant crowd. On stage sit two titans. Mike Pompeo, embodiment of the establishment, West Point, Harvard Law, CIA, State, a resume built for reverence and deference. Next to him, Jasmine Crockett, not a household name, yet. The air is heavy, not just with the heat from the lights, but with history possibly about to pivot. One word, one look, could define political culture for a generation. For Pompeo, the moment is about legacy, preserving the hierarchy, showing that hard-won experience always trumps attitude and outrage. For Crockett, it's a chance to prove that fact, fire, and lived advocacy are worth more than old credentials and tradition. The room knows, when the floor is theirs, only one will leave with real power. Don't touch that dial, hit subscribe. The host intones, because what's about to unfold may echo for years to come. Jasmine Crockett steps through the world with a deliberate, quiet gravity, the kind that's forged in courtrooms and lived in the neighborhoods politicians forget. Raised in South Dallas, she understood from childhood that respect isn't given, it's seized every inch. Young Jasmine hustled through underfunded schools, learning that every book she read was one brick in her own future. She held friends' hands through eviction, watched justice come late or not at all, realized no one would fight for her people but her. In law school, she outworked everyone. As a civil rights attorney, she built her reputation not on grand speeches, but on tireless preparation and victories against impossible odds. She learned to see through intimidation, to slice through legal theater with cool, quick facts, and to make complex stories simple for juries, for families, for all who depended on her to win real freedom. By the time she is elected to Congress, Jasmine is no rookie. She is a veteran of struggle, of advocacy, of holding the powerful to account. Allies call her relentless. Clients call her the hope bringer. Colleagues, especially rivals, call her dangerous, disruptive, impossible to bluff. Her communication is ruthless in clarity, never blurred by Washington smog. Sharp, quick, and designed to cut through political nonsense, that's how she's described on the Hill. Mike Pompeo enters every room as if he's already won the argument. Born to command, schooled in hierarchy, he's built a life measured by titles and oaths. In the Army, he learned to bark orders. At Harvard, to parse power by precedent. In Congress, and then as CIA Director and Secretary of State, he developed the art of dominance, the ironclad stance, the methodical boom of a voice, the ability to outlast, outmaneuver, or overpower almost any foe. Even his critics admit, Pompeo isn't just smart, he's strategic, and his presence tilts the floor. He expects deference, and usually gets it. Most politicians shrink in his shadow, their resolve evaporating under his stare. Crockett and Pompeo, the disruptor and the defender, modern David and ancient Goliath. The established order versus insurgent truth. And today the two face off. As the studio goes live, Pompeo takes the initiative, voice steeped in gravitas. We're here to discuss records, not rhetoric, he intones, fixing the audience with a schoolmaster's patience. Congresswoman Crockett has served barely 2 years, long enough to tweet, not long enough to actually legislate. The camera lingers on Crockett's impassive face as he rattles off a litany of personal achievements, while I was negotiating with global adversaries, securing new alliances, protecting American lives. What was Congresswoman Crockett doing? Filing lawsuits, playing to the crowd. He continues, let's be honest. There's a difference between making headlines and making laws. The crowd, mostly stone-faced, registers some nervous laughter. Can anyone, including the Congresswoman herself, name a single landmark bill bearing her name? A single policy accomplishment? He turns the word activist into an epithet, conjuring the familiar ghost of the untested outsider. America needs leaders, men and women who know governing is more than outrage, more than performative lawyering. Pompeo's stare is icy, a blue steel glare meant to draw blood. He leans forward. It's easy to grandstand in safe congressional districts. Harder to sit across from dictators and hold the line. Harder to command respect in Washington or anywhere. He aims directly at Politico's headline writers, at the strategists who trade in power narratives. Every barb lands with the confidence of a man unaccustomed to being interrupted, a man who expects his record to speak louder than anyone's comeback. As Pompeo concludes, a hush settles, and the room seems to contract. Crockett is still. The red light on the camera blinks, as if holding its breath. But while the crowd has been led to expect an easy demolition, irritation builds. Some in the audience, staffers who've watched Crockett in hearings, journalists who know her public defender reputation, begin to shuffle, eager for a fight. Even Pompeo's supporters shift, wondering if this might finally be the moment the old playbook fails. The tension, thick and almost visible, is broken only by Crockett's sudden, surprising laugh. "Are you finished?" she asks, voice low and even. Pompeo tries not to react, but it's too late. The script has flipped. The power dynamic is about to implode. Crockett's laugh, full-throated, disarming, rings out, shifting everyone's posture. No one expected her to respond with such unshakable calm. She leans into her microphone, gaze never breaking from Pompeo's. "You want to talk records? Let's talk receipts." Her tone is gentle, but it carries the weight of a gavel. The next minutes will become legend. She stands folder in hand as cameras zoom in. "Secretary Pompeo, you've told the world about your titles. CIA Director, Secretary of State, West Point," she recites. "But let's talk about what you left out." Her delivery is surgical, a practice courtroom rhythm designed to teach, not merely rebut. You call yourself a peacemaker, but under your guidance, we teetered on the brink of global disaster. It was on your recommendation that America took out Iran's military chief, a move that fueled retaliation, risked American lives, and left families across this country one bad tweet away from war. The audience sits stunned. Pompeo's jaw hardens, but Crockett is just beginning. "You negotiated trade agreements? Great. Tell that to the farmers in my district who are still hurting from tariffs and counter-tariffs. Tell the factory workers who lost jobs because of the fallout." News releases claim victory for America, but real people wrote to me asking if you ever thought about them when you put pen to paper. My record? I fought for those families, right here in this folder. Legislation to expand voting rights in 3 states, supported by a coalition of Republicans and Democrats. Bills that put over 100,000 people in my district on health insurance they thought they never have. Her hands don't shake. She meets Pompeo's stare head-on. "You call me an activist? You're right. I am. But being an activist means never forgetting who I serve. I've stood with mothers facing eviction, with judges who said my clients didn't stand chance, and I won. Not because I shouted, but because I did my homework. Out of courtrooms into Congress, the work never stopped. You want measure power? Measure how many lives you helped directly, not how many meetings you attended." Pompeo attempts to interrupt just once, but Crockett, unwavering, pushes through. "You had your say. Now it's my turn." The folder opens and she begins reading, one example after another. A family saved from bankruptcy, a town kept afloat by an infrastructure grant, a college graduate who started a business thanks to student loan reform. She pivots back. "You say America needs leaders. I agree. Leaders who listen, who show up, who aren't just defined by titles and cable news clips. I hold regular town halls. I walk the neighborhoods affected by every vote I cast. I care more about answers than applause." She raises the folder. "These aren't theories. They're evidence. And evidence beats showmanship every single time." Her voice rises, quietly fierce, proud. "You want to claim the high ground? Earn it. Not with bluster, not with intimidation, but by lifting people up." She breathes and looks to the moderator, finally sitting, control of the room visibly and irrevocably hers. Pompeo stares, silent, visibly searching for a reply that will not come. The silence that follows is charged and complete. Every camera focuses on Pompeo's face, waiting for a response. The once unshakable statesman now looks suddenly, stunningly diminished. History will replay this silence over and over. In those seconds, a generation learns. Facts, empathy, readiness, and conviction can turn giants to stone. Pompeo, who has faced despots and generals, cannot recover as Crockett's evidence rolls over his record, leaving his talking points scattered and obsolete. After Crockett's final word, the studio feels transformed, cold, reverent, a cathedral acoustics in the aftermath of revelation. The audience, at first silent, slowly stirs. Some shake their heads, others whisper, unable to disguise their awe. Staffers open phones, start texting furiously. Every news producer in the wings smells a viral moment. The moderator, almost apologetic, turns to Pompeo. "Secretary, would you care to respond?" It's a lifeline thrown to a swimmer caught in a riptide. He grasps at it, but only barely. The American people can judge. Who has the experience to lead? He finally musters. The bravado is gone. What remains is hollow formalism. Crockett nods, her own closing line crisp, clean, and devastating. "I think they can too." She gathers her folder, her receipts, holds her gaze steady, and leaves the last word unchallenged. The audience, suspended between two worlds, now exhale, murmurs ripple, a low hum of recognition. The old order has been punctured, and the new has arrived. News anchors immediately brand at a pivot point, a paradigm shift, the moment the rules of the game changed. Partisans from both sides reach for the right narrative. Even Pompeo's loyalists, normally quick to dismiss, look down, conceding. Some are angry, others are inspired. Backstage, Crockett's staff weep openly. For them, this is not just about one debate, but about every battle waged for respect. Those who thought her name would fade into committee records now see a new contender, a voice they can't ignore. Pompeo's team, meanwhile, stares at the floor, hoping, perhaps, that the clip won't go viral. That time will erase this embarrassment. But that studio silence, captured on tape, will echo across 1,000 screens in the coming hours. In that room, something permanent has shifted. A new power has walked in, and it isn't going away. The segment hits the airwaves, and within minutes, timelines overflow. Hashtags detonate. Hashtag Crockett destroys. Hashtag Pompeo speechless. Hashtag receipt culture. Hashtag New Guard rises all begin trending, not just in D.C., but in every American city. TikTok users produce remix after remix, looping Crockett's "Are you finished?" and evidence beats showmanship every time, setting her words to viral beats. Youth across the nation begin miming her gestures, aspiring to her poise. Memes proliferate. Pompeo's silenced face becomes a universal reaction to failed authority. Reaction videos pile up, some fans jubilant, others dissecting every phrase, every gesture, reading meaning in Crockett's subtle smile and Pompeo's shattered composure. YouTube pundits dissect the logic, some frame by frame. Law students celebrate her textbook cross-examination, as debate coaches declare her performance required viewing for anyone aspiring to public service. Cable news devotes panels to the drama. One anchor leans back. "We haven't seen a reversal like this since the old hearings. This moment may change how the Beltway does business." On Reddit and in private discords, left and right, ordinary citizens and political hands debate the merits, not just of the policies, but of delivery, evidence, authenticity. Celebrities tweet, hashtag Crockett 2028, and overnight, her followers increase by hundreds of thousands. Even mainstream magazines solicit profiles. Not a day passes without another deep dive into her strategy of substance, her courtroom-honed calm, her attention to detail over ego. Back in neighborhoods she represents, Crockett's constituents hold watch parties, celebrating not just a win on the stage, but a win for every district written off as too poor, too loud, too complicated. It's not just a viral moment. It's an injection of hope, a fresh blueprint for anyone tired of losing to power, to complacency, to spectacle. The collision between Crockett and Pompeo leaves a crater wider than any single segment. Within weeks, receipt culture shifts from a trend to a doctrine. Party strategists overhaul their debate trainings, old notes on intimidation and authority now replaced with case studies on empathy, evidence, and answerability. Panels at campaign boot camps analyze her lines. School debate coaches restructure entire programs around her logic, balance, and clean delivery. In Congress itself, established power brokers now threaten less and listen more. Legacy alone no longer guarantees deference. Young lawmakers take heart, armed with facts, their voices now steady, their research deeper, their testimony more pointed. Persistently doubted representatives, once background noise, now run hearings with a sense that their diligence will find the sunlight if only they remain ready. Crockett herself climbs fast. Her calendar explodes with media requests, educator invitations, and perhaps most importantly, offers to train the next cycle of campaigners in evidence first, ego last politics. Law students pin her words above their study desks. Even older Democrats and moderate Republicans make pilgrimages for advice, hoping to learn the secret, the power to destroy a titan without raising a voice. Outside politics, her legacy affects culture itself. Streaming networks greenlight series inspired by the Crockett method. True story podcasts dive deeper. Voters demand real receipts from every elected official. Even the comedy shows pay tribute, recreating her final stare for laughs, for lessons, and yes, for warnings. As for Pompeo, the long-term impact is sobering. Once the blueprint for untouchable authority, he becomes the case study in the perils of underrating the new wave. His future campaigns and media tours all carry the ghost of that pause, the moment he ran out of answers. For the nation, a clarion call. Leaders are measured not by rhetoric or resume, but by whom they serve and what they accomplish. The Beltway myth, it's always been this way, crumbles, replaced by a contagious belief in preparation, humility, and hard work. A year later, the phrase, "show me the receipts," echoes from city council chambers to late-night comedy. It's a reminder that power, once seized by the loudest, the richest, or the most decorated, can be surrendered in a single evening to anyone armed with truth, heart, and courage. Crockett's story grows, from courtroom warrior to congressional disruptor, to the symbol for a new kind of politics. For every girl in a forgotten district, every son of the working poor, every doubted scholar, her moment isn't just an inspiration. It's proof. With will, facts, and focus, the impossible isn't just possible, it's inevitable.